Okay, so I'm delighted to be sharing the teaser. I'm not even going to call it a trailer because the teaser for 52 Fridays is here, and I hope you enjoy.
Meet Violet, a bright, adventurous yoga teacher who always wanted to be on stage. So she starts weekly lessons from her boyfriend's former lover. Raven is a theater director with a dark side and a jealous streak. She initiates Violet into the world of polyamory, kink, and tantra. Playing with Violet is like playing with fire. Fascinating at first, but suddenly emotions are raging beyond control. It's not only lust either. That would be too easy. This is love, the kind that blazes from the depths of the soul. Can their perverted fantasies be transmuted into performance art? Or will Violet's childhood sexual abuse be re-traumatized? Raven's haunted knowing that when playing with fire, eventually somebody may get burned. Or will they learn to rise like the phoenix? Journey into the shadowy depths of where sexuality meets power in order to seduce our darkest desires into an alchemical light.
Okay, so pretty steamy, huh? Excellent. Thank you. It's been a real fun journey just creating this. How do you synopsize and tease someone on a, it's really this epic journey, because this book has been 5 years in the making, and this is the first chapter. So, and it's really kind of funny to read it from my little, my disappearing act, my Kindle, so I have no idea how to show this to you. But I'm going to go ahead and read. With the first part of the book is called Subtext. This is chapter 1, The Other Woman. This is awkward, Damien declares. Raven pinches his thigh and protests. It's only awkward because you keep saying that. They are sitting beside each other on his couch, anxiously awaiting Violet's arrival. They've sat together on this couch countless times before, but frequently they were half naked, with candles lit, enraptured in conscious touch or conversation. It's only been a month since they broke up now. Raven is about to meet the woman Damien wants to spend the rest of his life with. Actually, this is legitimately awkward. I understand now why monogamous people don't introduce their exes to their new lovers, Damien insists. Ex? Is that how you think of me? Raven says, half teasing, half hurt. Would you prefer former lover? That doesn't fit. My love hasn't stopped. You know that. There are no words for what we are. Damien's hazel eyes reveal deep compassion from beneath his large brow and shaggy red hair. Raven lets out a sigh and melts into a familiar sideways hug. She is a natural beauty who doesn't usually wear makeup, but has a hint of eyeshadow glistening around her dark eyes tonight. Damien's right. There's no words. They've spent hours musing on how language is insufficient to express the essence of embodied love. They marveled on the unpredictable nature of life. And now, life has delivered an unimaginable opportunity for growth, named Violet. At the first knock, Damien springs to the door. Raven stands slightly behind, observing their intimate embrace while holding her breath. Violet enters with a giant jug of honey under her arm. She's a curvy blonde in a short, silky dress, totally opposite of what Raven had pictured. Violet's bright, warm smile is positively authentic as she presents Damien with the honey pot. throws her arms around Raven with the enthusiasm of a golden retriever, hugging a little too tightly, and says, Damien talks about you all the time. He thinks the world of you. Raven looks over her shoulder at Damien's handsome freckled face and censors the impulse to say, so this is the woman that has taken my place? Instead, she forces herself to politely say, I hope I can live up to all that you've heard. What is this? Damien says, unscrewing the massive jug. Sorry I kept you waiting. I searched the farmer's market for the perfect gift. Then I met a local beekeeper who harvests raw organic honey. There's plenty to share. Raven, you've got to taste this. Violet pokes her finger into the jar and holds it up to drizzle off the excess. Open wide. It takes Raven a second to realize Violet's serious. She brings her lips close enough to be fed by Violet's sticky, sweet index finger. Once the syrup has touched her tongue, Raven realizes the only graceful way to conclude this exchange is by sucking this woman's pointer. Your turn, Damien. Violet dips another finger into the pot. No thanks, he says, and Violet slowly slips the second finger into her own mouth instead. She makes a big show of licking both fingers. Who needs a spoon? This is so good. You know, honey never spoils. Damien ushers both women to the couch, shaking his head, saying, You're one of a kind, Vi. Violet is determined to break the top layer of ice with small talk. So Damien tells me that you're an art teacher, performance art mostly, right now. I'm leading a class on monologues. In fact, I'm teaching right after this, but most of my creativity is going towards my one-woman show. Damien adds, she runs an experimental theater company. She's writing a piece about sacred prostitution. Some of her radical performances are online. One in particular I want you to see. He leaps up to grab his laptop. Raven turns to Violet, but speaks loudly enough for Damien to hear. He's nervous about our meeting. He thinks escaping into the computer screen will somehow make this go smoother. Damien defends. Aren't we all a little nervous? Instead of talking shop, Raven proposes, how about we have a little heart-to-heart first? Violet sinks back into the couch and says, I'm in. Where would we normally have a heart-to-heart? I mean, if I weren't here, if it were just the two of you, would you normally connect here or in the bedroom? Raven speaks slowly, trying to calm everyone down, especially herself. Anywhere, the place doesn't matter. I just want to hear about your hopes and your fears. Sounds great, Violet says, as long as we still get to watch your videos. Damien kneels on the floor in front of Violet and pivots his broad shoulders so he can face both of them. If I'm nervous, it's only because I care about the both of you, and I don't want to see either of you get hurt. I especially don't want to be the cause of that hurt. I wouldn't have gathered us together like this if Raven didn't insist it would ease the pain from our, I don't want to call it a breakup. I'd rather reframe it as a phase transition. Also, it's obvious to me that you both have medicine for each other. I just hope you get together and to know each other to discover what it is. Raven closes her eyes to take it all in. Upon opening them, she sees the other two staring at her, so she clears her throat and tries not to sound too rehearsed. I've been wanting to meet you since the moment Damien said he found his primary partner. Anyone who captured his heart must be extraordinary themselves. I hoped I could continue dating him while you two established your foundation, but I understand that it's too much to ask since you're so new to all this. So in the end, I'm left with a choice. I could surrender my jealous programming, and if I surrendered to my jealous programming, I'd resent you for taking Damien from me. Or I could turn this around and embrace Damien's new love and become a part of your new life together. Violet squeezes both their hands, looking directly at Raven. Damien always talks about your Monday nights. It sounds so romantic to have a weekly rendezvous, like it was something stable, something sacred. And I'm sorry Damien had to break it off on my account. I can't imagine how painful that is. Raven is taken aback by Violet's candor and her aim. It was a direct hit to a fresh wound. Yes, I'm still heartbroken. But I have a husband and a family, and other lovers to help me get through this. Raven tries to deflect attention to Damien, hoping that Violet doesn't notice that she's teetering on the edge of tears. Did you tell her about my husband and my son? Violet reassures Raven with her big blue eyes. He tells me everything. We have an open relationship. But not open enough to share him. Raven catches the sharpness in her own tone, but isn't able to dial it down. I tried to accept your connection, Violet says, but when he would come back from his weekly dates with you, I felt so conflicted, so unsure, so turned on also at the same time. I felt like I was falling apart. But that was before I met you. Despite Raven's irrational impulse to flip the coffee table over and run out the door, she leans in. What do you mean you're falling apart? I cried buckets for weeks, Violet says. Damien never told me. Raven shoots him a look, only to find he's frozen in some kind of suspended animation. Violet continues. I mostly hid it from him until it got unbearable and I stopped wanting sex. That's when he decided to break it off with you. I'm really sorry. I just don't know how to share him yet. I still don't understand how this all works. Well, you've picked the world's best teacher. I'm sure he'll help you figure it out, Raven says, attempting to help Damien defrost. Damien thaws enough to offer. I used to think open relating was an abstract concept, good on paper, not in practice, until I started dating Raven and I saw how she was with Nick. Their open marriage embodied my deepest values of truth and freedom. And if love doesn't include that, it's not real. It's just possessiveness and neediness masquerading as love. Raven looks at Violet, who is beaming at her. I'm genuinely excited about learning. Violet speaks with the childlike enthusiasm. I'm not just opening to make it work with Damien. I've always been attracted to a lot of different people, and I'm a terrible liar. I want to learn from both of you. Damien measures his words carefully before resuming. I transitioned out of my romantic relationship with you, Raven, because I couldn't keep hurting Violet. A love like ours isn't defined by romance or sex. It's deeper than that. By slowing down, I can nurture a more secure attachment with Violet. And eventually, we'll have a strong enough foundation to explore other lovers. And I've told Violet that there's no foreseeable future in which I would go back to being monogamous. That would be a regression away from my deepest values. Violet places her nervous hand on Raven's thigh, and in an attempt to lighten the mood, she asks, do you want to show me your performance art now? You can watch YouTube anywhere, anytime. I wonder if there's more ground that we should cover before I have to go teach my class, Raven suggests. Violet massages Raven's thigh and with a soft voice suggests, maybe there's something that can only be said with the body and body language. Are you serious? Raven says. Violet bats her eyelashes and looks at both of them. How else am I going to learn? Raven turns to Damien. Is she for real? Damien looks like a deer in headlights. How about those YouTube videos? I've got an idea, Violet perks up. We can cuddle on your bed and watch them. Raven surrenders. I'm always down for cuddling. They reconvene in Damien's impeccable room and prop themselves against the headboard with designer pillows. Raven is surprised to see that the meditation candle is on Damien's dresser is already lit. Lying beside Violet, Raven notices a certain electricity between their shoulders. Do you have any videos of your one-woman show? Violet asks with sincere interest. I'm still in rehearsal, but I hope you can come see the show. Live performance is so much better than video. Besides, something tells me that this whole YouTube racket was just a ploy to get us here in the bedroom. The sound of Violet's giggles remind Raven of coins falling down a wishing well. Ooh, busted. You figured me out. Raven can't help but laugh with her. Damien interrupts to say, I actually do want Violet to see the one where you tie yourself up and talk about finding sexual liberation through lesbian bondage. Violet can't keep her hands from caressing Raven's soft skin. I promise I'll cyber stalk you later, but right now, maybe you could show me how you two would normally connect before I was in the picture. Is she always this flirty? Raven asked Damien. I'm not flirting, Violet winks. I just want to know what you'd be wearing. Would you have this much clothes on if I weren't here? You're not flirting. You're downright frothy, Raven teases. Damien pumps the emergency brake. I don't think that's a good idea. Remember how upset you got the last time Raven and I were sexual? Violet urges, but I didn't know her then. I can see now she has a heart of gold. She's like a golden girl. She can do no harm. Thanks. Raven wonders if she's trembling from being turned on or because she's upset. As much as I'd like to take off my clothes and roll around with you both, it would be pretty confusing to my system. The de-escalation with Damien has been hard, and I hope you understand. Of course, Damien says, placing a warm hand on her shoulder. Violet adds, I don't want to confuse anything. I just want to nurture you with some touch. And if you want to take off your bra, I can massage your shoulder blades. Blood rushes to Raven's tender parts, but her olive skin is too tan to blush. I'm enjoying your touch, but I think I better keep my bra on. Damien appears relieved to not be the only one governing Violet's advances, but seems conflicted about something else. The real reason I wanted Violet to see your shibari performance is that I thought maybe you could shine some light on the topic of rough sex. Raven is mindlessly melting into Violet's deep tissue massage, and she responds with a relaxed, mm-hmm. And meanwhile, she's wondering, how dare he ask me for sex advice for his new lover? How audacious, and yet how humble. Violet asked me to dominate her. Damien pauses and lays his hand on Raven as if testing for a fever. I'm sorry if this is too much, but it's a real dilemma. It's okay, Raven says, leaning into the warmth of his palm. He continues, naturally, I want to help her explore her fantasies, but this is an edge for me. Sometimes when she goes down on me, she takes my hand and puts it on her head, which feels disrespectful, but the harder I push, the more turned on she gets. It's irresistible the way she looks up at me with those big watery eyes. As he speaks, Raven's mind drifts into the last time she wrapped her own lips around his throbbing cock. She flashes on the ecstasy in his face. Then her chest is pierced with longing. She breathes into the growing warmth between her own legs and envisions her etheric cock growing hard and hungry to penetrate. She imagines herself thrusting forcefully into Violet's face, the thrill of Violet's resistance while she drives into her soft mouth. Take that, bitch. Her private revelry is interrupted by Violet's curiosity. Damien says you worked with a professional dominatrix. Is it true? It's true, Raven says, overwhelmed with the yearning to defile this innocent woman. There's so much I want to ask, Violet presses. Another time, maybe, Raven says, scrambling to sit up. and sort out her feelings. Is she hurt? Is she jealous? All she knows is that she's turned on. I think I better go. What's wrong? Damien asks. It's too soon. The seduction is too strong. If I'm going to keep my vow to do no harm, Raven finds her feet and impulsively pecks Damien on the cheek. I better leave now. Is it something I did? Violet wonders out loud. No, you're intriguing, almost irresistible. And maybe if we met in a different circumstances, it would be different. But I need to take a little break from Damien. Raven leans in to hug Violet, who manages to kiss Raven square on the mouth, the warmth of which lingers on her soft lips long after she darts out the door. And so there you have our first chapter. And if somebody is trying to speak, we have to unmute. So give me one moment.
It's done now.
Okay.
You
Great.
still want to record?
Say again?
It's recording.
Yeah, so I'm